Saturn in the fourth house of your birth chart. The fourth house of the birth chart is a very deep and powerful house, and it's a little hard to grasp at times because there's very many layers to it. It is the core of your personal self. It's your roots. It can talk about, on one level, your home family, so your family growing up. It can talk about your home now and how you should organize it. It can even go back in time as far as when you stepped into this incarnation, what ancestors did you take on? Because you didn't just come in as an individual. You didn't just come in as a person within a family that has its own spirit. You came into a whole lineage. So you're not that lineage, unless you choose to identify yourself as that, but you come into it, and those roots shape very deeply what you can do and what you will do in this incarnation. So remember, you came in with an intent. You took your form, including your family and your roots, where you grew up. So it could be also your place of birth and the influence of that, maybe the geographical features around you. There's many, many different spirits that went into shaping that core self. Now, when you have Saturn in a house, it tends to create restriction in that area. And that in the fourth house can have many different forms. So you have to kind of think through the possibilities and work with the possibilities. So for example, in a very simple way, Saturn in the fourth house can just be trouble in the home family, or a lot of restrictions in the home family. So that could take many forms in itself. It could take the form of great poverty that made things difficult. It could take the form of abuse or neglect, or basically restricting you as a person, restricting you by virtue of being part of that family and not really getting to be an individual. It could be to do with racism. It could be to do with any number of factors on that level. And then there are even more, ancestral patterns that can happen. Sometimes a person comes in with the intent of breaking an ancestral pattern, which is a very courageous and noble form of incarnation. And Saturn can give a clue if that may be the case. And sometimes Saturn in the fourth house can indicate, be one of the indicators for that. So there's a positive and a negative way to deal with Saturn in your fourth house. So the negative way is always to succumb to fear and restriction. So if you are in fact allowing yourself to be inhibited at the very core of who you are, that's not good. You want to push through that. And likewise, you want to confront the fears that you may have about your home life. Another form of that could be a refusal to settle down because you fear so much being trapped that you want to basically roam around and run through the earth. But having Saturn there really means that you shouldn't do that. You should find a way to establish your home base. And especially now, if you're safe, if you're an adult, to really kind of build something for yourself. And Saturn in the fourth house, on the positive side, says to really focus on what it means to you to build your own home base, to build your own sense of security or headquarters from which you can go out into the world and pursue whatever else it is that you may be pursuing. But you have that core self. In some ways, it can refer to the body metaphorically, but most often it does refer to the whole environment. It could also mean your family that you're now setting up, whether that's biological or just by affinity. It doesn't matter the form that takes, but to really become that expert on how to put together a home base that really nurtures you. And then when you nurture yourself that way and really allow yourself to nurture yourself, what can't you do?